Deadlifts can be life-changing. Let me tell you why. A lot of people actually think deadlifts are bad for you, they're bad for your back. I'm not saying that you should do deadlifts if you have back problems, because it would be better to speak to a doctor about that. If you've had a back op or something like that, it's not something I would start off with, and it's definitely not something I would start off with heavy. But at the same time, I can tell you deadlifts have completely changed the way I feel about my body. I used to be scared of lifting heavy things. Even when I was younger, when I was competing in mixed martial arts and I was gymming, but it was more of a bodybuilding routine, 25 odd years ago, I was scared of deadlifts. And the most I could ever do was 80 kilos, which was just above my body weight. I was happy with that. But now I'm older and strength is such a focus for me, because I've seen how weakness affects people my age and older. Deadlifts have been game changing, and the crazy thing is, at the age of 48, I can now deadlift 125 kilos without a problem. Now that's not going to put me at a powerlifting level, and it's low rep, so it's not even going to be amazing for bodybuilding, but I can tell you the difference in the way that you feel is significant, and feeling good and strong and able to lift things can be completely game-changing. The great thing about it is that you really don't need an expensive setup at home. You don't need a squat rack. You don't need a bench to do bench press. Now, I love squats and I love bench, but the fact is that I can't always get to the gym because I've got work, I've got family, and in life, you're going to need to pick up heavy things. So, it's an interesting thing because I started deadlifting about 5 years ago again, and I really couldn't pick up much weight. I could pick up 60 kilos, and even then I was really scared. I'd had a torn meniscus in the past. I'd had, I had multiple hernia ops, and I thought, this is an exercise I shouldn't do, and I'm old, and I'll hurt my back. And I decided to just not increase the load, so I just deadlifted. Every week, deadlifted every week, never missed. And the crazy thing is, eventually the 60 kilos that I was lifting just became light. So I added a kilo on each end. And I just deadlifted until it became light. And then I added 2.5 kilos on each end. Depending on the setup, if I was at work with a hotel gym because I travel for work, or at home with my little setup here, which is really an odd assortment of weights. I mean, you can find stuff like this all over Facebook Marketplace, or probably eBay, depending on where you live. And it really doesn't cost you much, and you don't need a lot of space. And the awesome thing is that I used to not be able to pick up things around the house. And now I can. I can pick up my kids. I can pick up boxes and move them. I've got a little side business where I've got to move these 27 kilo boxes, selling stuff online. And it's just not a problem anymore. And I can't tell you how life-changing that is. Plus, let's be honest, you're going to get old and you want to be able to lift heavy things. So if you don't have back problems and you clear it with your doctor, I think you should start off very light and you should just deadlift. What do you think?